Good morning, class. I hope everyone is doing well today. I want to just remind you of my expectations for you today is for you to be on your best behavior, be listening to my sub, but as well as paying close attention to this video today as it walks us through today's lessons. We're going to start off today with something new that we haven't done before. So please have your sheet of notebook paper on your desk and a pencil. Go ahead and clear everything else off your desk, and we will get started with our morning work. On the top of your paper, write day 1, and then you're going to follow the directions on the screen through this video. Okay, we're going to stop there today because this question actually leads into what we will be discussing today in our math notebook and workbook. So if you will take this time to take out your math notebook and open up to your Learning Target Index and get the following copied into your notebook. You may have to pause this video so as they get their Learning Target Index open, but when everybody's ready, go ahead and press play again. But go ahead and write down the date, which is 3/3/26, and I want you to write the following. I can understand and solve for volume. I can understand and solve for volume. Once you have that done, go to your next clean sheet of paper or clean sheet in your notebook. Okay, so as we get to our next clean sheet, I want us to write, and we're just going to do chapter 13 in general, so we're going to write chapter 13, like I said, 3. And let's write the word volume. Before we can really dive into volume, let's do a quick review and talk about two other things that you've learned in previous years and that you'll see sometimes this year. And the first one is called perimeter. Perimeter. And when we think about perimeter, we should be thinking about length plus width. And really, to sum it up, and with perimeter, all we're doing is we're adding all sides. With the word perimeter, it makes me think of a fence. My backyard is fenced in to keep my dog in, and the fence creates a perimeter around my yard. It is outlining the sides of my yard, the back of my yard, and making a perimeter. So if I was to find out how much the perimeter was of my yard, I would just have to measure the fence sides to figure out what the perimeter is. But the main thing you need to remember is when we're dealing with perimeter, it's dealing with adding, and you're adding all the sides. So after perimeter, we also learned about the measurement of area. And area is length times width. And so in this case, we know that we are multiplying. So to give you an example of this, let's draw a rectangle on our paper. And let's say that this side is 5 feet. And this side is 5 feet. And this side is 17 feet. And this side is 17 feet. So knowing this, how can I figure out what the perimeter is? Well, if in your mind you're thinking about adding all the sides, you're correct. So for perimeter, we're adding the sides. So I like to do 5 plus 5, which equals 10. And 17 plus 17, which equals 34. And then I do 34 plus 10, and my perimeter is 44 feet. Pretty simple, right? Just adding all the sides. 5 plus 5, 17 plus 17. All we're doing is adding that. Then, to find the area, we're going to just multiply a length by a width. And I can, because they're the same, since 5 is here and 5 is here and 17 and 17 is there, I can just do one of each. So I'm going to do 17 times 5. Okay? Well, I can't do 17 times 5 in my head, but I can know that 5 times 10, and I can do plus 5 times 7. So 5 times 10 is 50. 5 times 7 is 35. So 50 plus 35 is 85. And so this one is 85 feet. But because we multiplied, and this is important, this is going to be squared. Okay? 85 feet squared. And we talked about it with perimeter, but area is measuring the amount of space in between. So if this is, the perimeter is the outside, the area would be the inside, the measurement of the inside. And you should know that. So perimeter, is just 44 feet. Area is 85 feet squared. And that kind of leads into what we will be doing today about talking about what is volume. So volume is measuring, not perimeter, and volume is not measuring the area. Volume is measuring the volume, the amount of space it takes up. When I think of volume, I think of 3D shapes. So write this down. Volume is a measure of the amount of space that a solid figure occupies. I misspelled that. OCCUPIES. Sorry about that. So for example, if I am trying to make sure my refrigerator is going to fit into the space that's provided, I have to measure the length, the width, and the height. So when we think about volume, it's really dealing with three things: the length, the width, and the height. When we think about volume, though, a lot of time is we need to think about a unit cube. A unit cube. Which is the volume of a unit cube is 1 cubic unit. What does that mean? Well, let's take this for example. You don't have to turn to it, but in your book, it gives some examples of, here are some figures. Now, these figures are not exact for the most part, meaning they're not representing a certain shape necessarily, but they are things that are taking up space, right? I think of 3D, it's three-dimensional, right? So if I was to measure the volume of these, well, the first thing I see, it says use centimeter cubes to make each figure. So if I said, okay, what is the volume of figure 1? All I'm doing is counting the different cubes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So this one would be 17 cubic centimeters. So the word cubic, it can be abbreviated, and so instead of writing 17 cubic centimeters, you can say 17 centimeters, and for cubed you put a 3. So if we remember right, perimeter there's nothing, area there's a squared, and volume there's a cubed, or a 3. Let's look at figure 3. Same thing, right? So all we're doing is counting it. Now, on the ACAP test, obviously you won't be able to write on it, but you can literally take your pencil and count them as you go. I always like to count them once, twice, 3 times just to make sure I count it correctly, especially since I can't write it. But on this one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this one would be 13 centimeters cubed. Now, look at figure 2. It's a little bit different. I think you could do figure 4 pretty easily, except for there's 2 things I want to talk about. Look at this shape right here, right? Now, that shape we know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But how is this one holding up? That means there has to be some underneath that. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 cubic centimeters there. So just because you don't see the cube doesn't mean the cube's not there. So the one that's holding, there's 3 holding that one up. So you kind of have to don't forget about that one. Can't be just floating in air. There has to be something holding it up. So if it was a 3D shape and I was able to turn it around, then I would see the other 3 that are there. So for this one, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, count the ones that's underneath it. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this one would be 16 centimeters cubed. But some people might put 13 centimeters cubed because they're missing the ones that are there. It's the same thing on this one, right? So this one, there's some that we can't see because we can't move it on the paper. If it was a figure we could hold, then we could. But in this case, we need to make sure that we know how many. So I know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But then there's a layer of 9 underneath it. So I can say 9 times 2 is 18 centimeters cubed. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to turn into your workbook on page 623. So turn to page 623. And I want you to do numbers 3 through 6. Numbers 3 through 6. And once you have finished those, just put your pencils down. The sub is going to give you about 3 to 5 minutes to work on this. And then she's going to pause the video. And then after everybody's done, she's going to start the video up again. All right, so getting back to this, I went ahead and answered 3, 4, and 5. And if you look at numbers 3 and 4, I put cubic units here because they don't give a specific. They don't tell me feet or centimeters or inches or yards or anything like that. So if they don't put anything, you can just write the word cubic units. If you don't want to write cubic units, you can write 5c.u. That would write 2 cubic units. That's the same thing. But really writing cubic units isn't too hard. And the unit just represents 1. So there's 7 cubic units or 7 blocks is kind of what you want to think about it. This one, they did give us feet. So I wrote feet and cubed. But remember, you also can say 9 cubic feet. Okay, so either or there. Now look at number 6, and this kind of gets into what we will be doing today, or moving on with next, is on this one, there's 2 ways we can do this problem. The way that we've learned it so far is we count the top. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 20. And there's 2 layers of that, so I can just do 20 times 2. So I do, which is 40. So I get 40 inches cubed, right, as my answer. But really, this kind of leads into really 5th grade math. I feel like to this point, if you've done volume, you've counted this before. You've done that. But there is actually a better way to do this than to just count it. And so take your notebook back out. And so we're still on the same page. We're just going to add a little bit more. And they're just like with area and with perimeter, there is a formula. So for volume, the formula for volume is equals length times width times height. So for example, if we go back to the shape that we had just a minute ago, I just lost my book. Where did I put it? Oh, I put it right on top of it. If we go back to this problem right here, and we go with volume equals length times width times height, the length would be right here. The width would be right here. And the height is the 2. So we have 4 times 5 times 2. And the good thing is, since we're only multiplying, if we mess up and we put the width first or the length or the height first and we put those out of order, you're still going to get the same answer. But then 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 2 is 40. We have 40 inches cubed. So you see that it can work that way as well. Let's look at this one down here just to help us here. We have 2, 4, and 3. So 2 times 4 times 3. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So we get 24 centimeters cubed. So like I said, not too hard there when it comes to that. So if you look on in your book, let's look at page 629. So going back to this, page 629, I want you to do numbers 3 through 6. The sub is going to stop the video and give you about 3 to 5 minutes to do these 3. Make sure that you are putting the units cubed in your answer. Don't just put a number as your answer. Make sure that you're putting the units cubed as your answer as well. So we'll give you just a minute to do those before we get back started on this. All right, so let's look at these 4 questions real fast, make sure we're good. And so starting with the first one, we have, remember, volume equals length times width times height. That's the most important thing, right? But also remembering that we have to put the cubed or the 3 in our units. So remembering those 2 things are the most important things. So looking at number 3, we're going to do length times width times height. So 3 times 5 times 4. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. 15 times 4 equals 60. And the way I did that is I just broke it up. 15 times 2 is 30. And then I did that again. It's 30 plus 30, 60. So we get 60 feet cubed. Look at number 4. We have length, width, height. And I like to label it just so I make sure I use it all, especially as we get into something else that I'll show you later in another lesson. This time we have 6 times 3 times 2. Remember, you can solve it anyway. So I do 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So we get 36 centimeters cubed. Same thing on this one. So length, width, height. 9 times 4 times 3. 9 times 4 is 36. Then we have 36 times 3. I don't know. Don't try to do that in your head if you don't know it. Just come over to the side and work it out. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry my 1. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So I get 108 inches cubed. Okay? Like I said, don't forget the measure or the units. That's very important. So last one, length, width, height. Okay? So 5 times 2 times 8. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 8 equals 80. And so I get 80 feet cubed. So we should be able to start, you should be knowing this or getting to know this pretty well. There's one more step that we'll do on another day that kind of makes it a little bit more tricky, but this should be pretty easy for you to complete. So what you're going to work on now is I want you to turn in your workbook to page 625 and 631, and you're going to do numbers 1 through 4 on both of those pages. Once you have finished that, the sub will have your assignment that you're supposed to work on for the remainder of class on the board, and you will work on that till the end of the day. No homework today. Make sure that the bell ringer that we did, the first 5 questions, go ahead and turn that into the sub as well. Make sure your name's on it, and that way it will be helpful with that. So finish these 8 problems right here, then work on the work that you're supposed to do for the remainder of class, and we will get back after it again tomorrow. Have a great day. Be on your best behavior.